We have found our way. It's a brand new day, and we'll be making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay? We have come so far. This is who we are. And like the rising sun, we have just begun to play our part. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our colors. We are heroes and dreamers. We are restless believers.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, and this is Free Range, where we graze on wild ideas and we have wonderful guests. Now, I'm going to run a little clip for you before I get started, because we have Kerry Cassidy working on some technical difficulties. So anyway, I want you to see this little clip. The link will be in the description of the video, and I think you'll find it very interesting. Okay, I'm going to make it big too. So, and let me start it, and here we go. Let me get back to where we go, and let me take this off. By the way, all information is in the description, and also another video. I really encourage you to watch it and check this out, because it's worth looking into. So with that being said, let me remove this, and let me bring on our internet icon, Kerry Cassidy. Welcome, Kerry.
Hi. I'm sorry. I've been having, I don't know what's wrong with this. I did this restream yesterday or the day before, and it did work. But right now it's I guess I'm online and you can see me, but it's not allowing me to use whatever kind of camera I normally use. So whatever, if you can see me, then we're good.
Yeah, I can see you. You're good.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Just hold on one second.
No problem. That's okay. Some people will probably find out that you're online and they'll want to be there to hear.
I've got these blinding sort of lights going on. Okay.
Well, so happy to have you here, Kerry. Things are crazy.
Thank you.
Really crazy. I'm so tired of this so-called movie. And one of the things that you always talk about is bringing out the truth and transparency. And I'm going, oh, please, thank you for saying that as often as you do, because it's so necessary. It is really necessary.
Thanks. Okay. Happy to be here.
Well, I'm wondering, you know, they've been saying this for the longest time, that we have pending martial law coming. And I don't know. I was kind of under the impression that we already were to some extent, but I suppose they can clamp it down further. I don't know.
We're not under, I live in California, but there's no martial law here at the moment.
I haven't seen any here either that I'm aware of.
Okay.
What about I heard that there's a bunch of FEMA barges docked at Gitmo. Do you know anything about that?
There's a bunch of what?
They call them FEMA prison barges.
Well, I mean, they're FEMA camps. Barges, you mean on the water?
Yeah, in the water. Yeah.
Oh, well, that was a rumor going around quite a while ago that they had prisoners in on the water in boats, whether they're barges or not, I don't know. But anyway,
Mm-mm.
I I don't know if that's actually real or not. I mean,
Yeah, I don't either. I thought maybe you might, but that could be from because I've noticed some of old information is coming back up. Like I remember in New York when they had, I think they had, well, they had the Mercy ship and so on. But anyway, moving right along, it's not. I don't know either. I was just thought if you had heard anything new and different in that regard. Uh, but what do you? I also heard that starting today there was supposed to be. I mean, I hate dates, but debt forgiveness or jubilee. Do you know? Have you heard anything in that regard?
in regard to a jubilee,
Yeah, debt forgiveness for everybody.
right now, no.
Um, this year, maybe.
Well, I mean, we're right in the middle of the battle, so to speak, and so I I don't think anything really like that would be happening as long as the dark side is still um, holding their ground, so to speak, and they are definitely alive and well, so to speak, because a lot of these horrible things are still going on. I guess you know that there's Cliff High has predicted a big event
On the 15th.
for July 15th. And I just got off a show with Brad Olson
Oh,
talking
yeah.
about that. I did talk about it a little bit on a couple other shows and we'll continue to talk about it. So if are you aware of all of that and you know about the remote viewers that have looked at the Cliff High material? Have you been following all that?
A little bit. I have an idea about it. I understand there's supposed to be like an explosive event, so to speak, and then I think there's going to be something done by both sides, the black hat.
Well,
I haven't.
I mean, the way it works is that if they, if one side does something, the other side does something. So at the moment, we have UFOs that are supposed to be part of this sky event that Cliff High is predicting. The way he sees it is only like a spike in the people that his web bot is basically scouring the web for our reaction to and our dialogue in an everyday way. So I don't know what span of time he scours it for, like if it was the past month or the past year, but he has gotten a huge spike recently and is predicting it's 13 times the 9/11 event. And that it's going to be talked about well into 2025, and that people are going to have a shock. It's a shocking event. So I have followed all of the different remote viewers, what they're saying, because they remote viewed. These are the very world known remote viewers who have an excellent track record of predicting things and of getting hits on
Yeah,
things.
pretty amazing. Yeah.
And so that's Dick Algeier and his team called Future Forecasting Group. So I'm a subscriber over there. So I've watched all their videos, and he did a video with Cliff High discussing their results of the remote viewing of the event. They're basically six remote viewers, and they all seem to have seen more or less the same thing, which is there's a UFO involved. There is a planning, advanced planning around a sort of a conference table type thing, military, I think. They're also talking about a hit on the Earth, so it's some kind of target on a building or I think possibly a military base, and so they're seeing an explosion that hits the ground, and then they also are seeing multiple um, projectiles hitting this target, from what I understand, which could be bullets or it could be rods of God, as they're called. There's multiple, explanation for that kind of thing. And there's also, um, as I say, going to be a very shocking accompaniment to this. So if and when it happens, if these people are right, then this event will happen, and it is supposed to change consciousness. So they're calling it a world changing event. So
Wow.
that's a pretty
Okay.
substantial statement.
I'll have to watch it. I haven't seen it. I have a tendency not to watch Cliff because he tends to be so negative, and anything that's spiritual, he just kind of poo-poos it.
Right. Well, in this
Um,
case, it was because he's claiming it's 13 times 9/11. I think there's
mm.
a reason to pay some attention. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
no, I think based
And
on what you
he
said.
was very accurate in predicting 9/11, let's say. So
Okay.
the web, and if it's not him, it's actually us.
Yeah.
So it's the web bot is gathering data from us. Then he puts it into various buckets, one of which he calls woo, and then what he does is distill it down to see what type of conversations we're having online. So everything is online. The web bot doesn't look at us like if we have a conversation that's not online, it's not tracking that. So basically, it's a tracking and tracing software that is all about tracking you on the internet. So everything you do and say on the internet, it may pick up. And
Wow.
so apparently there's enough dialogue and enough consciousness focused on these dates and some event that has a shock and awe value. And so this is what we're looking at. So I'm
Have you
doing this
gotten
group
any
with
inklings
people
on it
about,
yourself?
sorry.
Have you gotten any inklings on it yourself? Because you're very perceptive about these things
Thank you.
also.
Well, yes, I've looked at the data, and I did have one sort of precog dream about it, which I'll explain in a minute.
Okay.
But the bottom line is that I have seen a UFO or UFOs involved, and I actually think what it's going to be is Battle of LA kind of thing, where the UFOs are shooting and targeting something, whether it's a military base, which I think is the most likely candidate. Now, a lot of the remote viewers got NORAD, and so it could be at NORAD literally, or NORAD could be involved, and that the actual place this takes place could be anywhere in the United States, even in Hawaii or wherever. But the thing is that I was in San Diego over the weekend, and I was touring the ships in the San Diego harbor, just for fun, a tour kind of thing, and with a friend of mine, and basically was called by another friend who is a military guy who lives in the San Diego area, who reported to me that people on the beaches in the harbor area or somewhere around there were seeing a UFO that landed on a ship in the San Diego harbor. So this is might have been a foreshadowing, as we
Mhm.
call it, event to what is going to happen. But what in taking all the remote viewing testimonies, so to speak, and cross correlating them, what I see is a Project Bluebeam type battle
That's what I was wondering.
in
Okay.
which we're seeing actual UFOs shooting at the United States at some, base or building on a base. And that would be shocking, okay? Because we talk about UFOs, we see them all the time, but since the Battle of LA, they've never actually talked about actual battles between us and UFOs. And then the idea here is that this is planned by a military. So in theory, the UFO will be driven, in essence, it'll be one of our reverse engineered UFOs, and it's going to be involved in this battle. So
Wow.
I have to say that it could be, I know it's a funny way to put it, but they could hire an ET group to participate. So it doesn't have to be one of ours, it could be one of theirs shooting at us. And there could be a battle. We could witness a kind of a battle with a UFO. Or
That would be pretty shocking for people because
I
most
think,
people don't even think
yeah,
that there is
they don't
ETs,
accept that idea.
or
And
aliens.
this would be a precursor to a Project Bluebeam sort of drawn out event that won't just take place in one day, but it will be the rollout of the Project Bluebeam, which is a kind of alien invasion scenario, albeit it's supposed to be fake and CGI, but I think it's going to have aspects of reality to it. Number one, we were just talking online. I was talking with Brad Olson about it. And the word is that the aliens that they're going to use are insectoids who have volunteered to be part of these battles, to let some of their members be killed, literally killed, and that there will be about 100,000. This is a long-term Project Bluebeam scenario, 100,000 humans killed. So it's not all that fake if people die, as you can.
No, it's not. That's a lot of people dying too.
So there will be some mixture of fake and real going on. So I don't know if that's what's going to happen. All I know is that the remote viewers had points at which they all six coincided. Again,
that's pretty amazing.
NORAD was featured, a UFO features, a battle of some kind, a hitting of the earth with some kind of projectiles or missiles even to a building. So there's some kind of, military event that seems to want to take place during this span of time, which is the 15th and 16th of July. But admittedly, when remote viewers view something, the time could be not accurate. So it could happen several days later, even several days earlier. Cliff High says that he also says the timing is not necessarily accurate. It could be a few days off. I don't think it can be months off. I think it has to be close enough if his data is as accurate as he claims it is, which is again the webbot data.
Okay. Would remote viewers be able to see the difference between CGI versus the real thing?
It's a good question. There's often issues like that when they are looking at something. I think they would think that they could tell the difference. I'm not so sure they can, because I can tell you, for example, they have a remote viewing of Biden, and I don't remember exactly what the topic was related to Biden, but they don't seem to see that he's an actor. Now, I don't know. I have a theory on them. One of the things is that they're not telling us the whole truth, that they are actually reined in by the military who watches over them. They used to work for the military, by the way. Several of those remote viewers actually worked for the military. They also worked with Courtney Brown. And I think they're very closely watched by the military. And so they're actually under constraints not to share exactly what they know. And so if they knew Biden, for example, is an actor, as most of us know now, even they wouldn't say it, because the conventional audience out there doesn't know that.
Yeah.
So they talk in terms of what they know, what people know and agree on. They are not going to tell the real truth. And that's a problem, okay? Because when you have those constraints, then you come to this incident. And what other things are they not telling us?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I always look at that kind of thing.
Okay. So Farsight was basically getting, as someone had mentioned, getting a lot of the same information that Acquire was, I think. Anyway, in that regard.
Farsight also has problems in this area, in my view. Now, I don't know if it's because of government oversight or military, oversight, or because of their own, discretionary choices where they don't want to tell you the whole truth and nothing but the truth. But I have noticed that they are actually, they can be sort of off on certain topics. And those are topics where the people that are in what we call MAGA, we know quite a bit of the real truth of what's out there, whereas the general populace do not. So these shows, as they are geared to people that are not necessarily MAGA, but are part of the general population. So they cater to that perception,
Oh,
unfortunately, in my view.
yeah.
They're
Yeah.
afraid to shock people, which is kind of
Why?
insane.
I mean,
If you have a shocking event, then you better shock them now and wake them up as to what it could be, rather than keep quiet and have the shock like a double shock. But nonetheless, I mean, this is kind of what we're getting. And I mean, we have to sort of thank, if it happens, Cliff High for giving us a heads up, a
right.
warning of a kind. 107 is also saying he has been predicting for the past year at least a major event. He says we're now almost on it. He is using some of Cliff High's data. He talked to Nino just recently in an interview. He referenced Cliff High's data.
Mhm.
So he clearly seems to think this coming event may be the event he is talking about.
Ah, okay.
But it's hard to say, and there is some extenuating circumstances I just learned about because I hadn't been paying attention to the Vatican, who has
I
done
haven't either
now
lately.
a press conference just in the last day or two, I hear. And they
Oh,
are
wow.
trying to convince people that, I don't know whether it's Jesus or just that aliens are, under God's rule or whatever their deal is. Now I haven't watched it, so but they're trying to get their 2 cents in. And one would wonder, why would they all of a sudden want to, out of the blue, want to do a press conference unless they were actually tracking what Cliff High is tracking? And you can imagine they are. So
Yeah.
what happens with Cliff High's information and the Vatican is that the Vatican, we were told in Camelot, this is many years ago, that the Vatican wanted to be in charge of disclosure. That's what we were told. And so they will go to all lengths to command and control the narrative, if you will, because they have a vested interest in keeping their audience share, in the narrative.
I
And
can't imagine them having any transparency, though, or even knowing what that means.
yeah, well, they are run by the reptilians, so I don't trust them as far as I can throw them,
Thank you. I don't either.
actually. And I don't know why anybody would trust them, but the reptilian in overlay is all over the Vatican. All you have to do
Yeah.
is look at
The
it.
snake. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's really diabolical. But
It is.
then so is drinking the blood and eating the
Oh,
body
God.
of
Yeah.
Christ. I'm sorry to
Yeah.
say, but that is,
Yeah.
this is literally what they tell people to do. Why people
I
have
know.
fallen for this for so long, I have no idea.
I know that. I mean, talk about a satanic ritual, you know.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So this is
So,
what we're dealing
yeah.
with, though, that we're dealing with a human population that is severely, I guess, limited and dumbed down by actually religion in general, not just the Christian religion, but all religions.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
spirituality is one thing. I hope everyone has that. But religion is a whole different thing. It's a
It's man
control
made.
mechanism,
Yeah.
as you know.
Mass control. Yeah. Yeah. I believe me, I have my um, indoctrination
Oh,
and
all
got
right.
past, got past it, thank goodness. But anyway, somebody, Tim said Pope on a rope. That's funny. That's kind of funny. Do you know anything about this Prince Edward Island sightings? Have you heard anything? Somebody wanted to let you know about that.
Uh, King Edward Island? No,
Prince Edward Island
Prince Edward Island. Where is that located? Is it near
in Canada.
Britain?
Prince
Canada.
Edward Island, Canada. Lately,
No,
I live here and I've
a
seen,
recent sighting or something.
yeah, that's what she said. She says a lot of UFO sightings over Prince Edward Island, Canada. Lately, I live here and have seen some stuff myself.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've seen dozens of UFO sightings of my own, and you can see them any night of the week if you go to like places like Tahoe or the Sierra
Sedona.
Nevada, and you just look at the sky at night. Watching UFOs go by is very easy. It's crystal clear. You know, if it's not foggy, or I mean clouds, then you can see tons of UFOs. And actually, Courtney Brown and his remote viewers are filming them on a regular basis. They use a certain infrared photography, I guess they are, and they can capture the craft on you know camera.
Hmm. Let's see what this one. I have somebody. Where'd it go? I'm trying to. Someone was talking about orbs, but there was something else I wanted to bring. Do you know today's just off the cuff? Today's um, Tesla's birthday, July
Oh,
10th.
very
I
good.
just read that
Cool.
today. Yeah, crazy.
I just found I was doing some investigation and found that Tesla has actually built back in the day. He built a communication device to communicate with aliens on other planets, and it's
Oh
actually I
wow,
think he called it the Tesla phone or whatever it was. And anyway, and he was a great believer in ETs, and I think that he also had contact. So
I got that impression
I,
too.
I think that's really wonderful. I knew about his ET contact, but I didn't know that he made a device. And he says, at least in this one book, a quote from him is that he thinks one of the most, or the most important thing we can do as humans is communicate with other planets and other beings. So that's lovely.
I think they might be afraid of us. The way they're willing to throw around nuclear weapons, but all that will be stopped. But J Thought is asking, how will the human eyes react to seeing insectoids? There's a freak out factor that you can't always work through.
I'm sorry, I'm missing what is the question?
The question is, how do you think will human eyes react to seeing insectoids? There's a freak out factor that you can't always work through. I mean, if you saw a huge mantid, for example, or a huge spider, ugh, you know,
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that that's part of the shock and awe value of using them in this Project Bluebeam. If you have been paying attention, our youth have been taught online to battle aliens, and a lot of times the aliens they battle online are insectoids. So if you look at Halo, the Halo series, or you look at Ready Player One, there are dozens of different sort of books and video games and all of that kids are trained on to battle aliens out there.
wow.
So a lot of times the aliens they battle are insectoids as it happens.
Yeah, I haven't done much in the game department, but apparently they use scenes from games and everything in the fake news. Um, it's crazy. Um,
Someone's asking about the Miami Mall. I just happened to see that there.
oh, go ahead.
It's my theory that the tall whites might have helped with that operation. That actually, what we're witnessing here right now on Earth is a movement towards this blue beam event, and that there has been a gradual loosening up, you might say, of this secrecy surrounding UFOs and the UAP uh, Congressional Oversight Committee meeting that happened and was televised a year ago, about August, I think it was, with Gresh, David Gresh, and a number of whistleblowers and members of Congress. If you
Uh-huh.
remember and you watched it, then that was another sort of a disclosure on the part of the government. So it seems that there's a gradual loosening up. It's not great. It's still quite covert, but I think they've been moving in that direction to try to wake people up gradually in preparation for this shocking event. So perhaps, I mean, you can put those elements in there. I mean, we don't know for sure what this event will be. All we're doing is sort of looking at the data that the remote viewers came up with.
Okay. There's a question. This question here, I know that I saw this too. You're going to be in an event that's coming up in Tucson.
In Florida.
Tucson. Oh, it's in
Oh,
Florida.
Tucson.
Or,
Yes, I am. The Tucson event, as far as I remember, is in the end of September, but I am actually next weekend during this, over the dates of the 14th through the 18th, I will be in Florida at an event called the Full Disclosure event that speaking there. So I fly in on late Florida, late on the 14th, and it's in St. Petersburg, Florida. So Tampa is the closest big city and airport to that area. So I will be there
okay.
speaking.
Would the were the remote viewers able to pinpoint any kind of location, like West Coast, East Coast?
Okay. Well, what it seems to be a bit of a concentration, definitely on, at least as far as I could tell, on the United States for one, on the West Coast. One of the viewers got a body of water nearby. Again, when I mentioned NORAD, so if you think the target is NORAD, then it would be Colorado, obviously, where NORAD is located, Cheyenne Mountain, right?
Oh, okay. Wow.
But
That would be
NORAD was very involved in the Lahaina situation. So NORAD is our, sort of where our military to protect, the United States, and also in terms of the, what they call the nuclear weapons, the suitcase nukes, all of that is under the purview, I think, of NORAD and, of course, the president, but not the Biden show, but Trump. So Trump has the codes, as many people have been told. He said it numerous times. He has the suitcase, as they say.
wow. Let's see if there's anything else. Oh, somebody was asking, was Miami real? Well, apparently, if they had a deal with the whites, it was kind of real. How would you?
Well, I think that, like I said, I think it was an operation. I just have a theory that the tall whites might have been part of it. Now, when I say the tall whites, I'm talking about the beings that are located in Indian Springs area of Nevada that dealt with Charles Hall, and he's written several books about that. There's actually a great video online that I put on recently. I put on my Telegram channel a link to it, because it's called "Walking with the Tall Whites." I think that's the title, and I highly recommend it. It's got great information. You get to know Charles Hall. He's a wonderful man. I met him in person. I tried to interview him, but his wife prevented him from doing the interview many years ago. So I am a fan, actually, of the tall whites. I think they are inherently good beings. I think they're no nonsense. I don't think you want to mess with them, but they are not. They are not the beings that get blamed for things to do with the Nazis. They're absolutely not those beings. So just clarifying that. Um, Now, okay, someone was asking, I saw in the chat there, about the earthquake possibility, that the event
Yes.
could be an
Yeah.
earthquake. Well, it could be, although there are planes in the sky, there's some kind of battle element going on, and there's, again, some kind of projectiles that hit Earth, which doesn't really sound like an earthquake. Now, there could be a side event that's part of it that is a triggered earthquake. It's not impossible. I can say that I had a precog sort of vision. My vision said that okay, so that the event's not going to happen until after I get back from the conference I'm at. So I get back on the 18th, and when I'm returning, I was in my dream. I was walking in my door. I was talking to a friend of mine and joking around and saying, "Okay, we're back just in time for the earthquake." So that is a dream I've had, and I am a precog. I have seen my dreams come true. For example, I saw the Chinese invading their troops coming into our country. At the time that I had that dream was so many years ago. I thought I was crazy. I thought that would never happen to our country. See how wrong I was. But actually, so the dream was right. So I
Yeah.
do have dreams, but you know how it is when you have a dream. You have to either interpret it, and then you have to know whether you think it's true or not, and so forth. But one thing I've noticed about sort of dreams and visions I have is that I don't really get a choice in whether they're true or not. I don't, it's not up to me. They just either happen or they don't. So I've seen enough things happen that I've gotten precog information about that I pay attention to my
Yeah,
dreams.
there you go. Yeah.
Although this one about joking about the earthquake, what it seems to tell me is that the event, I think, is not going to happen yet until like on time. It's not going to be on time, but I could be wrong. It just seems to me that why would I have a dream about maybe an earthquake making a joke? If the event had happened, you would think the dream would be about talking about the event. You know what I'm saying? So, but again, it's
Yeah.
hard to say. With dreams, it's hard to pin things down. So all I know is I'll still be alive
Well,
as
that's
of,
good.
as of the 18th of July.
All right. Somebody's asking, does Kerry believe in the med beds? And if so, are they coming via the military on the heels of the lockdown?
Yes, and I have some recent information about one organization that seems to have the real stuff. I think there are a lot of fakers out there that aren't really delivering at the moment. Um, but I think that they're never going to let people have real med beds until they decide until the group that wants to eliminate, you know,
The
nine
bad
tenths
guys.
of the population of planet Earth are gone. You can see how they would not want you to have a med bed, right? Because they want to kill people.
Right, right. Definitely. I've thought about that too. Or even age regression. So they're going, oh, why, why would they
Yeah,
want
that
that?
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
the
that just,
last thing they want to do is make it easier for people to be healthy.
yeah. Yeah, they're doing a great job of brainwashing and poisoning.
Yeah,
Which is,
it's still alive and well for the moment. People want to know if I believe in flat Earth. I do not. I believe that. I definitely. Well, I know that the Earth is round, but I understand that when you move from 3D to 4D, 4D is visualized as a never-ending horizontal plane. And so I think this is where the problem with people's conception of what the earth really is. Now, I do believe that there could be an area beyond Antarctica that we have not been allowed to, see and to know about. So I think that that's very possible. I think Admiral Byrd probably knew about that.
okay, let's see. Somebody just saying, this is just kind of funny. Little bugs freak me out. I cannot imagine what can happen to me if I have a mantis in front of me, a heart attack for sure. But anyway, uh, that's why I wonder when we're going to get the truth about, more about child trafficking and the real reason all this got started.
Well, the more information comes out to expose the dark cabal, the more it's going to be exposed as to human trafficking and child trafficking and alien trafficking of humans. So recently I was talking about how insectoids are depicted. They did a remote viewing, Courtney Brown's group, which is farsight.org or farsightinstitute.org. Those remote viewers, and again, these remote viewers are pretty much experts and they get things right. They're proven right. So they have remote viewed the insectoids lately, and what they saw was insectoids are abducting humans. They put them on a table, they do some kind of genetic engineering of them, maybe even lobotomize them, because then they send them to outer planets and other star systems where they work like manual
Slaves.
labor. They don't rebel. and they just live like that. And it's just a horrendous scenario. But this is what the remote viewers were shown. And this is what these insectoids are hard at work at. It's incredible.
Wow. And that, yeah, I've known that the mantids are mind control. They're good at that. At least that's
Right.
what
But
I've
when you
heard.
talk about insectoids, that's not the same thing as mantids. When usually the terminology insectoid does not refer to mantids, they kind of are in their own category.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I would have thought they would be. So what are we talking about though? What kind of insectoids though might we be
I
seeing?
don't know. Some people call them ant beings. There are other
Oh,
kinds
okay.
of insect types,
And spider, what spider?
beetles, ant beings, various, you can think of lots of different insects. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying that mantids are considered not part of that category.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Mm.
Because that's the first ones that came to mind. Okay.
Well, maybe in your case, maybe you have had some dealings with them,
It could be.
so that's what you relate to.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, I don't know if you want to go here or not, but this has been out there, and I'm sure you've heard it already. There's that talk that Trump died already, and he's been replaced.
Yeah, well, if you're talking about Kim Gorgan, I have interviewed her, also spoken with her offline, and I did certain kind of questioning to really determine who she was and what she stood for and
Yeah,
so on and so forth. And I found that she was working with the dark side
that's what I thought.
and that she is also she's working with one general in particular who's on the dark side, and she is not reporting the truth. So I do not believe that Trump died. I think that's a lie. I think it was floated out there to, distance people from him. And I do believe that he has a double. I think he's being carefully guarded in NORAD most of the time.
Mhm, mhm.
So
Yeah,
I
me
think
too.
that what we're seeing a lot of times in court and so on and so forth, and during the debate, by the way, that was not the real Trump. And it certainly wasn't the real Biden who's dead. So,
Yeah, I couldn't watch either one. I couldn't watch it
I
anyway.
mean, our world right now is I mean, not to mention just the United States, but we're kind of a laughing stock. I mean,
Small wonder, right?
it's like an insane asylum out there, really.
It's embarrassing. Do you believe there are currently death sentences being carried out at Gitmo? Real raw news.
Executions, you mean?
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm
I
sure that's
do
what you
think
mean.
occasionally real raw news has real truth. I think that you can listen to Gene Decode. He was a submarine, um, military, part of the military on the submarine for a long time. He has gone into great detail on some of the executions and the rescuing of children from underground bases. In order to rescue children from underground bases, a lot of people don't realize that our white hat military has to battle reptilians because they're in charge. They completely have a lot of control over the underground areas.
Yeah. Do you? I don't know if you've ever heard We the People news with Mary. She talks about Commander Valiant Thor,
Yeah, that guy's a poser. He's not real. He's not the real guy.
the one on. There's one on Telegram that they claim is the poser, but the one that she talks to is not supposed to be. So maybe they both are. Who knows?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't buy it.
You don't buy it. I know several other people that don't buy it ever either.
Yeah.
Uh, somebody's asking if I'm still on YouTube. Well, I tried to get back on there, and I do have one channel there, and who knows when it'll be taken down. But oh, I forgot I was going to take it off. Well, oh well. I know they don't like Kerry very much, but you've gotten some back on YouTube, haven't you?
Yes, I was banned from YouTube, not because of my interest in and pursuing whistleblowers talking about secret space programs and aliens, etc. That was all fine, but they did give me strikes the minute I started interviewing during COVID, the alternative doctors. That's when I got all the strikes and got banned from YouTube. But
Yeah.
I created another email address that's unrelated to my normal ones, and finally started another YouTube channel. And I am using it now to go live, actually, and to do shows. So far, they're leaving me alone more or less. I did get one strike already.
Sounds
That
like me.
that strike was actually pretty funny because that was a health professional. They hate you to talk to really good health professionals,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And he has an excellent version of C60. And if you go on my website,
Oh,
you'll
is that
see,
Gresky guy?
yeah, Gresky.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna get back to him. I talked to him for a while
Yeah,
too. I really
he's
like what he
excellent,
said. Yeah, he is.
and very knowledgeable about C60.
Yeah.
And so I'm an affiliate of that. So it's on my website. The lower half of my website has several ads, and those ads are all products I'm using, people I've interviewed, and so I vetted all those ads.
All right. Because we were talking about this, what class do whales and dolphins hail from? And Juan Sabin said something very interesting about shark attacks all along the East Coast, like they're being more aggressive. And
Supposedly, yeah. Well, that could go along with the incident that is being, that we've been talking about. They are saying that it's going to permanently change sort of the frequency of humans. So there might be some, and effects that are already at work among humanity and on the ocean. So it could be that
interesting.
they're being triggered by this, whatever this event is going to be, because animals, of course, as you know, they're precogs by
Perceptive.
nature,
Yeah, they are.
and they do know when something's wrong. And I can say that, I do think that even now, okay, that I've been observing behavior for the last 3 or 4 days over the
Hmm.
holiday and such,
Yeah.
and I noticed that people are acting really strange and driving completely
Oh my
crazy
God.
in
Look
that
out for the other
area.
guy. Yeah. Right.
And I've actually been thinking that perhaps they are being affected in a sort of precog way, because the premise of the webbot is that we're all precogs, that we're all psychic, and that we get information even when we don't know we do, and then we talk about it, or we tend to talk around it, and this is where the webbot information comes from. So it comes from us.
Wow. And we're much more perceptive than most of us realize.
Yeah, I think humanity is. Apparently, prior to 9/11, there was plenty of people that were getting dreams and visions of what actually did happen.
Yeah, that's true. Very true. I always listen to people. I don't see, you know, they don't have much of a reason to lie because if they're wrong, they get discredited. So, you know, not that everybody can be right all the time or anything like that, but
Right.
after a while, you build up credibility based on the number of times you're right. So, what was the other thing? Now, you said something about it affecting the frequency or vibration of the people, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
We are a field. Okay, so humans have a field of resonance, and if we're all resonating to some inner knowledge, you can imagine where the vibrations will go out like in a pool, where you drop a stone and the ripples go out. So waves go out. We actually can generate scalar waves, and that means healing scalar waves and also detrimental scalar waves. Some of us are better at this than others. It's called chi in Eastern philosophy and China, and in the West, it would be called orgone. It's also called in India called Kundalini energy. It's a kind of a plasma that we exude, and as I've talked at length about this, but younger people have more more of it than older people that have lost a lot of their their
Electricity
connections
or
with,
voltage, maybe the
yeah, in
bioelectric
a way
field.
it's a
Yeah.
biofield, yeah. So it's natural that we're resonating, we're bouncing off each other, okay, in this field of resonance right now, this group that we're talking to, and then the people that'll watch this as it goes out. There will be waves of people, and they are going to be resonating also with it. So it's not limited to time and space. That's one thing. So this is what's kind of happening, and I think is very interesting. There could be indicators before the event actually happens where you see aberrant behavior on the part of humans around you. So I would encourage people to be a bit careful, okay, and maybe not get people around you angry. Try to, you know, be in a safe zone, whatever you consider that to be, as best you can, and so on and so forth.
I definitely would agree with that. I was wondering, do you think, I heard something about there was going to be an event that was going to be triggered by the black hats, but then there was going to be a counter hat event triggered by the white hats. But what I'm wondering is, whatever happens, do you think it will put people, I mean, it's going to be shocking, right? But after the initial shock, is it going to increase compassion and love, or is it going to be more fear, do you think?
Well, generally speaking, you could say that initially, if there's a lot of fear and shock, that's going to, it's sort of like
Unbelievable.
breaking through a barrier, and that could lift people into another zone. And they could actually have, you could even have some Kundalini activations happening, but you can also go the other way, and they may sort of like run and hide, and they may retreat from people, and so on and so forth. So people are going to react differently to anything that happens. Um, I can say that eventually, if there really is an event similar to what I'm talking about, I think it could be an awakening event, and therefore it could increase people's understanding of what it means to be human, at the same time realizing like not to be so ego centered, because I see this a lot out there, thinking the earth is the only planet that matters and all this nonsense. And there's actually, scientists have now found there's billions of earth like planets. So to be so completely obsessed with being human and being on earth is, in my view, insane. So awakening, broadening your horizons, anything like that can be sort of an enlightenment ascension type of event.
Have you, Holly is mentioning how the Congress is lobotomized by the lobbyists. This is true. Glad the Chevron deference was passed and get those three letters out of our head. I mean, I think it's more than the three letters. There's a lot of federal agencies that could be affected by this Chevron thing, but how that's going to manifest, I don't have a clue. Because it would be, wouldn't it be different for each agency is going to just act like everything's the same as it's always been. Do you have any perspective on that?
Well, I was reading about that. I did put an interesting, what I thought was a good overview on my Telegram channel. You know, I post to articles and things that I agree with, things I don't agree with on my Telegram. I also post my commentary of any given day. So I'm constantly posting to my Telegram. If I'm going to do a show, I post it on there. So if you're not
Hmm.
following my Telegram and a subscriber, then you're not going to know when I do a show or anything. So if you're interested in following my work, I highly recommend that.
Telegram.
And it's linked on the front page of my website. My website is projectcamelotportal.com. So as far as the Chevron situation, I think it's a very good thing that that has been eliminated. at this point. I hope it stays that way. I think that I think it is that I forget which agency it's really going to impact. Maybe it's the SEC, not sure. But anyway, it has everything to do with whether or not they actually have to go to court over their cases or not. And because it does, I guess it might throw more power to the courts. If the courts are corrupted, that's a bad thing. If the
Yeah,
courts are
they are
going to
corrupt.
become uncorrupted, then it's a good thing. So it could be a white hat move, to in anticipation of having courts that actually do work. But right now, up to now, I think we've had a lot of corruption in the courts. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that's
They don't
very
work.
obvious.
Yeah, they don't work on behalf of the American people. It's. I've seen this in court so many times. They will always rule in favor of the corporation, or
Right. But all
the
of this
business
has
or
to
whatever.
change. Otherwise, we're not, the white hats won't be successful. That's the bottom line.
Right. I agree. Okay, somebody is stating if this is, there are 13 major underground cities interconnected with maglev trains across the world underground.
Yeah.
That's true, isn't
Tons.
it?
Tons. Yeah. I wouldn't say the exact number is known, but yes.
Okay. Now this is I've seen some of this. Have you seen the David Quigley guy and his book out, Stolen Identity? He claims he is
Okay. He's an
JFK.
MK Ultra victim. He's a plant, and he is not JFK Jr. by any stretch of anyone's imagination. He is purposely a mind controlled victim that is, I think, positioned because they are worried that John F. Kennedy Jr. is actually going to come forward soon, which I dearly hope, because I know who, 107 is JFK Jr. I have a page on my website that explains all that, and shows you the photographs, and you can make your own judgments. I don't think that Quigley guy looks even remotely like John F. Kennedy Jr. or like Jackie or like JFK. So, you can be the judge. If you want to believe this guy, go right ahead. I get a definite no on him.
Okay, well, that's good to know. Um, what? I don't know what that was. Oh, I don't know. This is a compliment to you, I'm sure, Kerry. Been watching your channel for over 15 years. I've learned so much. I appreciate you for everything you've done for the community. Thank you. That's why I love to have Kerry on too, because I
Thank
think
you.
I feel the same way.
Thank
And
you.
I
I
always
really appreciate that.
and I always appreciate your perspective. I like to hear it. I'll have to watch the video you did with Brad Olson. I believe he lives out here where I'm at.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that's what I heard. Anyway.
Okay.
Oh yeah, here somebody's bringing up. This is what I was talking about. We just already covered that about the Restored Republic by Judy Byington and Valiant Thor. Um, I've had a lot of people question me. I don't know. I don't.
Yeah. I mean, you have to listen to your own sense of what resonates and what doesn't. And you do need to take time to develop those abilities. So you might not be right in the early days if you haven't really explored your own understanding on those levels. But eventually, the longer you sort of test it and then find out whether you're right or wrong, the more you can sort of hone your skills in that area. So, actually, I'm gonna put. I don't know. Is there a way to share my screen?
Oh
Does it
yeah,
allow me to do that?
yeah. The third one from the left, or the third one,
Oh, the
fourth
plus,
one from the
is it?
right. Yeah, yeah. Well, no, not the plus. The share screen is the one that has like a computer on
Okay,
it,
yeah, I think I've got it. Let me see.
and then it'll bring up all the different windows you have open, and you just got to pick the right window that you want.
Now, okay, so can you see that?
Yes, and I can turn it here. I can bring it up.
Okay, so I wanted to draw people's attention to this page on my website.
Let me bring this.
Can you see that? I don't know if this is showing up on the screen there. Oh,
Let me
yeah, it is.
take.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So on that page, if you scroll down, you will see, for example, 107, lots of pictures of him. But this is actually how 107, there's two 107s. One has blue eyes, one has brown. This is the brown-eyed one, and he is wearing the disguise of the fat stomach, the Santa Claus beard. You know, he's wearing a mask, and he's got two pairs of jeans on. This is how he goes into public. Now you have to. It is so obvious. This is a disguise, and not a real person. And if you don't realize that, I think you have to be deaf, dumb, and blind, frankly. But this is how he looks, and in a certain sense, he's basically kind of having a bit of fun with the audience because he has to know that he looks absolutely absurd, and and that you can see through his disguise very easily. But a lot of people are really dumb, and they don't seem to want to know that he's real and that he's who he says. Now this is a real picture of him at the Patriot Double Down. He decided to pare down his disguise. Here he's at the Patriot Double Down. Here he is. Here he is. And you can see the comparison between him and when he was young and when he was older. I interviewed him, in case you don't know that, once. And after that, he said he'd never do an interview with me again because I have the power to get people to tell the truth, and he would violate his security oath if he did so. So I have a lot of details on here to educate you. You can watch him at the Double Down on this video. You can really educate yourself. There's so many details that you can follow and see what's what. It's all on this page on my website. So I just wanted to share that. And
Yeah, your website is a wealth of information.
yeah, and you can go there if you want to know.
It's like I don't know what to pick when I get there sometimes. Let's see. I was just going to say.
So I just have to say that I can't stay on too much longer because
Okay.
I did an earlier broadcast and I
No, that's fine. We got an hour in already too. If you
oh
want
great. Okay. Yeah. So maybe just a few more questions.
Okay. I'm trying to find a good one, but and read quickly. It's tricky.
My website is projectcamelotportal.com, and it's you can just do a search called Project Camelot and you should get my website online. There are some fakers out there. Like right now, there's a fake Facebook page that has 2024 in the URL. Obviously, I've been doing this for 19 years. My URL does not have 2024 in it. It's the official
mine's a couple
Project Camelot. And see the logo. That's my logo. There's also a fake or two Telegram channels. They're fake, lots of fake YouTube and fake Rumble channels. But usually you can always tell a fake from a real one by the number of people that go to it. So I have like, I guess it's something like 94,000 on my Telegram. So any faker only has, some minimum amount of stupid people that believe it. Same with the Rumble channels, same with, the YouTube channels, that kind of thing.
Somebody is saying that a remote viewer by the name of Matthews Radio on Rumble, claims that benevolent ETs put a band or wave of positive energy around the earth to help raise our vibrations. Do you have any insights on this? I hadn't heard that.
Well, that's pretty general. So
Yeah.
I am not going to say it's true or not true because it's just too general. I mean, good ETs, yes, try to help us in various ways. They're not going to fight the fight for us, however, so you have to remember that. Just like with a child, you can't walk for that child. The child has to learn to walk on its own. So it's important that people realize we're not going to be rescued tomorrow by anyone.
Okay. Somebody is mentioning that they've noticed a lot of aggressiveness in people lately. I also read somewhere that we're going through, everybody, the collective is going through like a dark night of the soul, so that could be why. Maybe
They're going through a what?
dark night of the soul.
Oh, all right.
The
Well, you
whole,
could call it that, I suppose.
yeah. I know there are people that call it that. I suppose there's any number of things you could call it. But
Benjamin Fulford often has very good information. Occasionally, he's off. I did an interview with him in person a long time ago. It's still on my website, and freely admitted that he was under the control of the triad, what's called the triad. So he is also not a free agent. So he can't say anything he wants. And if they want him to put out information in a certain direction, he probably has to do it. So I would be careful.
Mathis is asking, Chevron opens up the technology release. Is that correct?
I'm not sure about that. I don't know what you mean. That's kind of again a general statement. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
General technology release of what? you know.
Yeah. I didn't think it was related to that. I think what it's related to is that the agencies like CDC, FDA, those agencies, they got to dictate to the courts how the courts should rule in the lower courts and bigger. And now because of that they took that away, that it can actually, the lower courts can override whatever their recommendations are. But since the lower courts are so corrupt too, I don't know. I don't have much faith in the courts. I really don't.
Right.
I've seen too much.
No, Pascal Najati is definitely not JFK, and anyone with half a brain should know that. JFK, even if he died, well, it depends what point of view you have, but JFK, in theory, a double might have been killed during the Kennedy assassination. We don't have complete verification of that. But I can tell you after interviewing Pascal that he believes that John F. Kennedy, the real one, lived to an old age, to in his 80s, and died maybe a year or two ago. That's where he gets the idea that his soul jumped into Pascal, which is not reincarnation, nothing to do with it, and is absolutely absurd. What he does have is a dark entity that has taken control of him, and it's calling itself JFK because Pascal underwent a shock. He was part of the elite. He couldn't believe he was being deceived about the jab, and he took the jab because of family pressure or whatever. And I think he had a shattering of the ego, which is when a person allows other entities to come in. I've warned him about this, therefore he hates me now, although he said he loved me after the interview, strangely. And then he has since basically let the entity take control of him. And that's a very dangerous thing to do. And this is a dark side Illuminati takeover. This is a possession.
Okay.
The actual Pascal is a good guy, I think, a good-hearted guy, but he is taken over by a dark entity. So be very careful.
Okay. Well, filing charges the way, that was one good thing that he did. He filed charges with the Swiss government because they put out the jab. That was a very good thing, I think.
Probably prior to when he was completely taken over. He started calling himself JFK.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Do you believe there will be an EBS that lasts for days?
Yes. I mean, I think in theory that is part of the plan. However, we've waited so long for it that it's kind of hard to believe at this point that it's ever going to happen. I don't see how Trump can go into office without it, okay, on a certain level. I actually agree with Juan that our election probably will be postponed. I think when Trump gets into office, it's going to be by way of the military. I do agree with that. So I don't think it's going to be a conventional election. I think there's going to be some issue, whether it's this event that's going to happen, that's going to change things, because when you go into a war footing, even a war with aliens is still war. And that's when it comes under. It's what will happen is they will reveal that Trump is already still president, that the military basically voted him in March of 2021 after Biden was given a funeral of the inauguration. He was dead. He's been played by actors since then and doubles. And basically, Trump is the commander in chief. He has the nuclear codes, and he will be revealed as the current president, and under those circumstances by the military.
Do they just think people are going to go bonkers when they find out that he actually won the 2020 election?
Yeah, they do.
Hands down.
Yeah. There are a lot of crazy people out there that have no clue whatsoever what's really going on. Okay, now I actually need to go.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you very much for the interview. I'm glad I got online because it was looking a little dim at the beginning.
Okay. Well, it's been a pleasure having you, Kerry. It always is.
Thank you.
And thank you for your information and intel. And maybe we'll see you again sometime in the future.
Absolutely. And you take care, Gail.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Found our way. It's a brand new day, and we'll be making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay? We have come so far. This is who we are, and like the rising sun, we have just begun to play our part. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our colors. We are heroes and dreamers. We are restless believers. Stronger than ever, never say never. Don't look back now, don't look back now. Stand with each other. We are sisters and brothers, fighting our place and running the race. We'll take our chance and seize the moment. Hold on tight and don't let go of all your hopes and dreams that light the way. We control our fate. Destiny awaits. We are all the actors in the stories we create. Hope will be our guide. We'll no longer hide. When we roll like thunder, feel the wonder from inside. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely